I may jump around a little bit on this one, but I want to talk about the sin of Lot. I want to talk about the sin of Lot. If you're familiar with the character Lot's story in Genesis, you know that he's the one whose wife looked back over the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah by fire and brimstone, and she was turned into a pillar of salt after having been warned by the messengers of God not to look back over the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot is this character. But what also happened, and where I want to point out Lot's particular sin, and it doesn't go unmentioned as a sin, but it goes unhighlighted in the storyline. So before Sodom and Gomorrah gets destroyed, the Lord sends two messengers, two angels, to go down and scout out the land and see who's in it righteous that needs rescuing. And they only find Lot's family. So he goes to Lot, the angels do. And the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, the men of the town, they desire to sleep with these angels who really are just disguised as men. So these guys don't recognize them as angels. For the men of Sodom and Gomorrah, they're just men. And when the King James translation says they wanted to make sport with them, this alluded to sex. So Sodom and Gomorrah, they wanted to, the people of that town, they wanted to defile these men and involve them in some debaucherous and vile practices. So Lot says this. He offers his two virgin daughters. He says, you could take them and do with them as you wish. And the townspeople refused. They said, no, we want the men. You read it in the story for yourself. It's in Genesis, the story of Lot. So one is led to just keep on reading, like, okay, well, they didn't take the daughters, they want the angels, because there were some things that happened right after that, because these men reached out to grab the angels. Lot pulls them inside the house where he is, because the townspeople, they followed him all the way home, went up to the house and everything. The whole town was at the house. Bring those men out. And as they was trying to, they were knocking the door. They were about to knock the door in. So in their desire to get in there that badly, the angels reach out, and when they reach out, they pull Lot in. They blind them in, strike them in with blindness to the point where the men couldn't even find the door. All they saw was an inky black mist. So these two angels, messengers from the Lord, they put these men under a spell, under a darkness spell. So Lot is the character who's one of the main leads in this. He's Abraham's nephew. So there's his sin right there. Why would he offer his daughters, his own children, to the people of Sodom and Gomorrah? No matter who shows up, if you're offering people in exchange for another entity, which is what these angels were, but in the disguise of men, then you basically offered your daughters as a sacrifice to the messengers of the Most High, to the messengers of Jehovah, let me say, because there is a difference between who Jehovah is and the Most High, and we could probably get into that in another video. But so there's Lot's sin right there. His sin is offering his daughters to the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. And there's a possible second sin if you want to go with the whole premise of certain amounts of non-disclosure, or should I say disclosure, things being disclosed and kept. When Lot and his daughters do escape, they go up into the hills. When they go up in the hills, the daughters begin to say to themselves, there's no more men around. Everybody's gone. We have no man. And then they have a plan with each of them to get their father drunk. Wait till he's passed out, sleep from drunkenness, and then each of them sleep with him. Now, why I say this is a possible second sin of Lot's is because how do we not know that he didn't fully participate in incest knowingly? We know what the story says, but we also know certain details of the King James translation of the Bible was intentionally either edited out or covered up. Because when you bring this back to another possibly incestuous scenario is regarding Noah and his son Ham. Why would the scriptures in Noah's story say after Noah found out what Ham did, he cursed Ham? To see his father's nakedness when he was passed out in his abode, this isn't considered a deed. This is considered a perception, a sight. But why would the scriptures go on to say after Noah woke up from his wine and being passed out drunk, and after finding out what Ham did, he cursed him? Why would he? What was the deed? So that links up similar to Lot's story when, again, here's another person that's passed out, over drunken. Now you could add that as a possible third sin of Lot's too. Just being drunken enough to be passed out. We do get in the Proverbs the usage of alcohol, strong drink, for the forgetting of misery. And to be on the run and have the town that you lived in destroyed and burned to a crisp with fireballs from the sky. Yeah, there's going to be some misery. You living in the caves. How you going to live? How you going to eat? What's the next safe town? Where can we go? How are we going to move along? There's going to be some misery that's going to come with that. And there's going to be some possible desire to forget because they're in an end of the world scenario going through something like that. So this is Lot. And the Moabites are the progeny and the descendants of that scenario regarding Lot and his two daughters in the mountains. So what is the lesson in all of this? You understand that the scriptures talk about God so loving his son, God so loving the world that he gives up his only begotten son. He did that so that you don't have to. You're not offering your loved ones up to the world, but you're offering the youthful part of yourself to the world, because this is you as father, as mother, as creator, so loving the scenario that you were placed in, that you're giving your only begotten youthfulness in your image and your only begotten representation and rendition of this space that you're born in. And this is your John 3:16. So that's the lesson in that. And there's the duality of you is untouched in comparison to all that you can be. So just like Lot, you have two virgin daughters, one being the left-hand path, the other being the right-hand path. Two hemispheres of the brain, left and right hemispheres. The yin and the yang, both spheres within you, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, both are virginal in comparison to the potential that they can be when utilized. So this is Super T Sigma of Sigma Program, and I thank you for your time and attention. Reaching is teaching. If it takes 1 million vids to get to 1 million views, so be it. We're going to keep going. as long as you keep growing. Peace.